Welcome to Every Dollar Counts with Josh and Jay, the shot of truth serum for your investment and insurance questions. I'm Josh Knoll, the owner of Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Jay Stubbs, director of the Gulf Coast for Concourse Financial Group. We are brought to you on the Gulf Coast Financial Advisors podcast network. Well, Jay, we get to have a little fun today. We normally don't timestamp our podcast, but this the local event going on right now, I think, is worth it. We got a little Mardi Gras going on.
We do, Josh, and we're going to have some fun in the city of Mobile, even in the cities of Daphne and Fairhope. Baldwin County gets into the Mardi Gras celebrations, but yeah, great time of year, especially along the Gulf Coast, as everybody celebrates what is traditionally just a lot of revelry and parades and parties and balls.
We're going to give the history and the behind the scenes and tell you listeners, particularly you ones that are not from around here, some things that you probably didn't realize about Mardi Gras and Mobile and how it relates to New Orleans and all that kind of stuff. But before we get into all this, let's have our friends from Sloth Racer kick us off. All right, buddy. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm great, Josh. Good to see you. Happy Mardi Gras.
Happy Mardi Gras, my friend. Quick housekeeping for compliance. Jay Stubbs and Concourse Financial Group are not affiliated with Prime Capital Investment Advisors, Qualified Plan Advisors, or Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. And Josh Knoll, me, I'm not affiliated with Concourse Financial Group. We say all that, but this particular podcast, Jay, there's going to be some financial discussion because, again, for our listeners that are not familiar with the area, maybe don't live down here, haven't experienced Mardi Gras, there definitely is a huge financial impact and a networking element to Mardi Gras and what goes on here in Mobile. But we're going to have some fun with it. I'm going to have a big smile on my face the whole time we're doing this podcast. And so what I want to do, Jay, I want to jump right in, if you don't mind, the history of Mardi Gras, because I think that's going to catch the listeners' attention right off the bat. It's not probably what most of you all think if you're not familiar with it down here.
Well, a lot of people relate Mardi Gras around the country to the Big Easy, the city of New Orleans, and rightfully so. They have a fantastic celebration over there. However, it is factually known that the Mardi Gras celebration originated in the city of Mobile way back in 1703, Josh, long time ago. So we're going to talk about the origination, and then we'll fast forward to right after the Civil War. But 1703 was actually when the first parade was held, and it was because Mobile was the first capital of French Louisiana. And it was a parade, an event, and it was considered Mardi Gras, and it's evolved into what it is today. So quite frankly, we're looking at a 300-plus year celebration. French Catholics get their due on creating it. However, Mobile gets its due on making it what it is today. New Orleans gets its due on making it even bigger. So, yeah, we got a lot of things to discuss in Mardi Gras world.
Appreciate you saying French Catholics because, a lot of people would associate Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, the Lent that comes right after that with being Catholic. But I can tell you, being down here, I don't want to say non-denominational, but I don't really necessarily see it. It's for the masses at this point. It has been for many years. Right?
It's party for the people. Right. Absolutely. It's party for the people. There are some items of Mardi Gras and Carnival that are exclusive. We can talk a little bit about that, but it's party for the people. It started as party for the people way back in 1866, 67, 68 with Joe Cain. So if you're a listener and you're like, okay, what is this Joe Cain Day?
Because you hear about all the time down here.
The Joe Cain celebration, Joe Cain Day. It's on the Sunday before Mardi Gras, so we're looking at that final Mardi Gras weekend celebration of Joe Cain, who got out and as a fireman, he attended just a regular fire parade event over in New Orleans, and he brought that idea, historically known, back to the city of Mobile, and he got his group of friends together, and they started parading and had a great time. Some of the organizations were affiliated as New Year's organizations. So locally, there's the Strikers and there's SCS, which some of you may know as the Santa Claus Society, a bunch of Santa Clauses dressed up during Christmas time. But some of those New Year's groups evolved into what is today is the parading or the Mystic Society groups. But when Joe Cain created the the parade, a few organizations were also formed. And here in the city of Mobile, the oldest organizations, there's two of them, OOMs, which is the Order of Myths. They parade on the Tuesday night, the last parade of Mardi Gras on Fat Tuesday. And then the Infant Mystics, they parade on Lundi Gras, which is also the Monday before Fat Tuesday, so Monday night. So between those two organizations in 1868 and 1869, you had the evolution or the creation of parading societies here in Mobile.
All right. So what I want to do before we dive in on when you're saying organizations, societies, because I want to talk about that for people who are not familiar. Let's go back to the parades. Compare and contrast a little bit. I know, do pictures exist from the 1866, 67?
Yeah, go Google Joe Cain. You'll see what he wore. His character name, Slapabamarimiko, I think is what it was. He was dressed up as an Indian chief. He had a full headdress on. So when you see Joe Cain in the character in modern day Mardi Gras, you'll see him dressed up. A lot of people dressed up as Joe Cain in full headdress, Indian headdress with beads, and it's just a unique way for that group, the Cowbellion Duracan Society, the Joe Cain group. They all have a unique look. So Joe Cain, parades, floats, yes, you can certainly see pictures of this stuff. There are clippings from the Mobile magazine or newspaper of the times where they would have advertisements of Fat Tuesday, and they would advertise it all over the state of Alabama, all over the Gulf Coast, and there would be trains loads of people and carloads of people that would come into not only New Orleans but also Mobile. But Mobile was really, really big, and it was a way for the businesses in downtown Mobile to create some activity. Remember, in 1870s, 1880s, 1890s, we're looking at post-Civil War, so everybody's kind of struggling a little bit, figuring out what life's going to be like. So there was a lot of, pent-up demand to have some fun. And there were boat races, there were parades, of course, there were magic tricks and magic shows, and certainly there were people dressing up in odd costumes, and there were mystic societies that had been formed and would parade through the streets of downtown Mobile.
Let's give people a brief kind of mental picture of what a parade looks like now.
Yeah, today it all starts with the esteemed city of Mobile or any other city. Their police, they clear the streets. We've got barricades up. You'll have a series of floats, typically with a theme. The organization that is out there, they'll have a theme to their parade. And then each of the floats, I always like to say, if you follow the rule that you build a float or create a float that kids are going to love, then everybody's going to love it, because the parades are the party for the people. And you might have anywhere from 5 to 15, sometimes even 20 floats, at least here in Mobile. Over in New Orleans, you're going to have tons and tons of floats, and they're built differently between Mobile and New Orleans. But on those floats, you've got riders who are members of the organization, and usually anywhere from, 15 to 20. Some floats could hold more, some floats hold less, but they have a bunch of stuff that they have procured throughout the weeks leading up to Mardi Gras. And our biggest thing that we have, obviously, with the Mardi Gras beads, the moon pie, and any candy or tricks, even today, light up guns and the popper streamers that we'll see. It's just a great time for people. They incorporate bands from the different high schools. Some different college bands will travel in, and they also will get regular bands, the bands that you would go to a concert hall or a bar and listen to them. They'll get on trailers and ride around and play their music throughout the event, the entire parade. They'll last anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours. It's always very safe here in Mobile. It's very family friendly. And then you'll also have it, sometimes the parade will be followed by another parade. Especially as you get closer to Mardi Gras, there will be 2 or 3 organizations in one evening.
Well, I appreciate the fact that you said kids. That was going to be my next point, because our beloved city to the west, New Orleans, I've been to Mardi Gras there, and it can get a little rowdy, is a way to put it. And not that people aren't having a good time here in Mobile, but I've always found Mobile and then all the parades on the Eastern Shore very kid-friendly. They've always got the gates. They always seem to have plenty of security. If someone hasn't experienced the Mobile area Mardi Gras, or if their only experience has been New Orleans, and they've got kids, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, the parades are fun. Kids love them. The families love them. Especially, there's food vendors out. They're selling corn dogs and funnel cakes and elephant ears and great food. Different businesses around the downtown areas of each of your respective cities that host parades. So even down in Gulf Shores, the businesses get really involved. They promote their business in some of the parades. Others aren't allowed. In some of the mystic societies, they're not allowed to promote any business. But different businesses in the area will get as a chance for for them to invite their customers to, especially if they're on the parade route, come down to the business. We're going to be law firms, engineering firms. The restaurants love it because it brings all the people out. They eat before or during or after the parade. It's just a fantastic financial boost. And when we missed it last year due to the cancellation of COVID, there was a lot of people that created Mardi Gras in their own ways. And you'll see, and if you go and look this up, you'll see that they created the Porch Parade. Our esteemed podcast editor and Johnny Gwynn, he was a part of that. He made sure that the different creations that you would see on a float were actually rented from those that build them, and people put them on their front porches and decorated their house, and there was the porch parades, and they had a great experience during that. And I think that's going to continue on even now that real parades are back. We're still going to see the porch parades.
Totally agree. All right, so let's pivot to when you say organizations and societies. So again, I'm going to talk as my experience. I didn't even really know what that meant when I moved down here. Now, I'd been in a fraternity in college, so I kind of got that a little bit, but kind of walk people through society, organizations, and then I want to transition that to what a ball looks like, and especially with the requirements on the dress and the tux and all that.
Yeah, so there are about 60 or 70, last time I looked, 60 or 70 organizations. There are some with only women. There are some with only men, predominantly only men, but all different parts of town, West Mobile, Baldwin County, downtown Mobile. They're just different groups of folks that get together. Some have been around a long time. Hundreds, at least a couple of them over 150 years. And when you have those opportunities to those organizations, they're very well established, they're very well capitalized, and it's important for those members to be a member of that group, and also for their family, their daughters, their sons to get into those organizations as well. It's a big family-oriented society. Typically, there is some mystics. We often say, don't spill the mystics. So, you have to be a member in order to ride in the parade. You have to be a member in order to get invitations to their ball or their event, and the members can invite their friends and their guests from out of town and their family. Oftentimes, it will lead itself to each of the organizations have a king and or a queen for that organization. Some of them will present a leading lady, which is tied to the debutantes that are making their debut. These young ladies in college, they're making their debut in the city of Mobile, and that all ties back to ambassador organizations one is called the Mobile Carnival Association, MCA, and the other one is the Mobile Area Mardi Gras Association, MAMGA, affectionately known as MAMGA. Between those two, they serve as the ambassadors, and they put out their debutantes each and every year. Those debutantes are celebrated at those different societies, balls, and events, and presented at different times throughout the entire Mardi Gras season. The parties for the debutantes and the societies start back in the fall.
Right.
So it's kind of cool to see that come to life.
For our female listeners, let's talk about the fashion.
Yeah. So the debutantes, they'll wear their very ornate dresses, gowns, and a lot of them are on display at the Mobile Carnival Museum. You can see some from the past over there, but they put a lot of work not only into the jewel and the headpieces and things that they'll be wearing, but they also put a lot of work into the dresses themselves, and it's really amazing to see some of these ladies. And then if you're a guest,
how about what are you and I going to be wearing?
Yeah, so if you're a guest to a ball, you're wearing full tails as a gentleman, and you're wearing full-length gowns, to the floor gowns if you're a lady. You have to dress up for these things.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, and some of them have street parties. Some of the organizations have street parties where you don't have to dress up. You can go very casual, jeans and whatever's outside. Some of them do cocktail style parties. There's one on Joe Kane Sunday that's hosted on St. Anthony Street. It's a really fun party, and you see a lot of gentlemen in suits and a lot of ladies in cocktail dresses, and that's what you have to have in order to get into that street party.
I didn't say this to you before the recording, so I hope to catch you by surprise, but hopefully they're okay with black boots. So
yeah, not a lot of people look down at your shoes. In fact, you'll see some folks that'll be wearing boots. So sometimes it's a little bit more. It's easier on your feet if you're getting stepped on dancing on the dance floor to these bands that are having a great time. Maybe a boot protects your foot a little bit better than a tuxedo shoe.
Well, the folks that know me know that I'm rarely without boots unless I've got sandals on them in a boat. So yeah, I went out and got some special black boots just for Mardi Gras. All right, Jay, a couple more questions as we wrap this up. The societies and organizations, do you all get together once a year, or is it more Is there things that they do for the community year round? Tell us a little bit about the involvement of that.
Yeah, both. So a lot of organizations, they'll start meeting in the fall. You got to think they're looking for new members. A lot of these family members, they're making sure that their names are being put up for consideration of membership. There are dues associated with that. When you pay your dues, oftentimes you'll get the organizations will meet and they'll maybe have a dinner or a lunch. Some of them do revolve around community efforts and do specific things for their neighborhoods or their communities. A couple of the organizations host fishing tournaments and fishing rodeos, which are fantastic. That's out of Dauphin Island. And that's a way for them to do something special for different 501c3s or charitable organizations. It's also a way for them to gather as a group or as an organization or society and see their buddies or their friends within that group. So yeah, they'll have meetings throughout the fall and into the holidays, and then it's in January, February. It's really let's get ready for Mardi Gras season. Let's get ready for our parade. Let's get ready for our ball. We're gonna put all the I's, dot all the I's, cross all the T's, and make sure that we're getting our invitations out to our guests. The only thing we can't control in Mardi Gras world, and Johnny and I talked about this earlier, is the weather. So a lot of the parades, it's just, what's the good Lord going to provide us? We're going to get cold, windy, rainy.
Show's going to go on.
The show does go on oftentimes, unless the city of Mobile or your different cities will cancel it lightning. Yeah, but I've ridden in some parades as fast as you can through downtown Mobile.
Well, speaking of the city, I'm glad you mentioned that, because this will be the last thing I have to say. I'll give you the last word, but a lot of people, again, me included, didn't realize, for example, City of Mobile has a budget for Mardi Gras. Has line items or some type of association with that, where they're putting time and effort into this. You've got the police departments, you've got all the organizations, you have all the volunteers. I mean, it's a huge effort. And so, even down to the porta potties, that has to all get scheduled and placed in the right spots.
Yeah, you've got RV City that's under the Interstate Exchange over here at I-10 in the tunnel. You got RV City, and then as you move into the weeks of Mardi Gras and the parades going on, not only the police and fire get involved for the safety concerns, but you've got the waste management crew of the different cities they go right behind the parade and clean up the streets. Their efficiency is amazing. I like to keep my kids around. We got to get back, because you'll get blown over with a leaf blower. And they're coming and they're cleaning those streets because they want the next morning to look just like there was nothing happened. Now you'll see beads in the trees, and that's a good thing. You'll see some moon pies stuck over in some bushes somewhere, and if it's still in the wrapper, you can grab it and you can eat it. We don't advise eating any of the food out of the gutters. There was a joke during COVID saying, hey, these people that have celebration and go to New Orleans or Mobile or anywhere else, and they eat the throws off the street, they're going to be good with whatever comes into their body. They're going to be
built up immunity.
That built up immunity from Mardi Gras. But yeah, it's exciting times. But the entire communities get involved, even to the point where some of the preschools and lower schools, if you will, they get involved. They build little miniature floats out of wagons, and they'll have their own little kid parades. It's cool stuff.
Well, hopefully this episode has given you all a snapshot of what Mardi Gras looks like here in the area. Those of you who are down here have experienced it, maybe learned a little bit about the history, and those that you have not been down here and experienced. So hopefully that's enough of an invitation to come down and partake. I think you'll love it.
Yeah, and you can always reach out to me or Josh if you want to know more about this kind of stuff. I do want to make sure that we have a business spin on this, and we said it in the beginning of the show. When you go to a Mardi Gras event, you're seeing people maybe meeting some new friends, meeting some new business acquaintances, having the opportunity to network at these different balls and these parties is fantastic. When you get down to it, we all like to generate new revenue and new opportunities, especially in some of our owner-operator businesses, like you as a financial advisor, me as an insurance professional. There's always ways for us to meet some new people and generate some business from the Mardi Gras season.
Absolutely. And generally speaking, when you meet somebody at these events, they're having a good time. They're happy. They're glad to be there.
Yeah, there was a news story that's out the last couple of days. One of the organizations that first had their parade and ball, looks like there was a fist fight that broke out. But anytime you get alcohol involved in things, you got to be careful with that. But on the majority, I would say 99% of the time, Mardi Gras is a excellent party and excellent fun for everybody that's involved.
Yeah, everybody leaves happy, I can tell you that. So, all right, listeners, and they're showing the can. Many thanks to our producer, Johnny Gwynn of Deep Fried Studios. Thanks to my co-host, Jay Stubbs. As always, a huge shout out to all of you that have joined Jay and I on this journey. And for those of you that are joining us now, do me a favor, please subscribe on the Apple Podcast app or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And while you're there, You would be doing us a huge favor if you would rate and review the show. It helps other listeners like you find us. Lastly, you like the show music? Go check out slothracerband.com. That's slothracerband.com. And they're going to take us home now. We'll see you next time. I am Josh Knoll. He is Jay Stubbs. And this has been Every Dollar Counts with Josh and Jay. Advisory services offered through Prime Capital Investment Advisors, LLC, PCIA, a federally registered investment advisor. PCIA, doing business as Prime Capital Wealth Management, PCWM, and Qualified Plan Advisors, QPA. Gulf Coast Financial Advisors is independent of Prime Capital Advisors. Information presented for educational purposes only, is not an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of any securities. All investments involve risk, and unless otherwise stated, be sure to consult a tax professional before implementing any tax or investment strategies.